Present in almost any website, the navbar usually sits at the top of the page and holds the logo and the main menu. Let's see what Bootstrap has to offer in terms of navbars. The most basic navbar is a static one and includes support for a project name and a navigation menu. You must place it within a container class element to match the width of your content. Here's an example. We start with the navbar class. So div class navbar, which contains a div with a class of navbar inner. Okay, now navbar inner is really important. It will apply some left and right padding and also the menu gradient, as you can see right here. Now the project name can be generated using a link with a class of brand. So A with a class of brand, let's say project name, and there it is. The navigation is just an unordered list with a class of nav. So let's do that. UL class nav, which contains 3 list items, for example, and each list item holds something like this. Okay, let's check it out. All right, you can add the active class to specify the active menu item, like this. Also, if you have multiple menu items and you want to separate them, you can do so using a vertical separator. So list item with a class of divider vertical. Okay, and let's do another list item here, just for the sake of it, link 4. All right, and as you can see, it added this very subtle divider. The navbar also supports forms. The default one uses the class of navbar form. So let's see an example. Right after the nav, I'm going to do another divider, and we're going to do form with a class of navbar form. All right, and we'll do an input plus a button. Input type submit, placeholder. You can do like a search button, like a search form, for example. Button will be type submit and a class of btn. All right, let's check it out. And input should be type text, actually, not type submit. There we go. All right, perfect. Now you can align the forms using the pull left and pull right utility classes. So for example, if I want this form all the way to the right, I'm going to say class pull right. And now it's on the right side. Pull left will just float it to the left right here, which is actually the default position. All right. Now, the traditional search form that we have here can also be styled differently using the navbar search class. So I'm going to say navbar search at the form class, and also the input type text receive an additional class of search query. All right, something like this. And in this case, the button is redundant. So that is a basic search form. You can also add plain text to the navbar, usually in a paragraph with a class of navbar text. So let's check it out. Paragraph with a class of navbar text. I'm just going to say this is a text. All right, there it is. Now, of course, you can position your elements something like this. And make sure you have proper margins and distances between your navbar elements. The navbar text class makes sure the text inside has the proper leading and color, so that's a very good reason to use it. Now you can also use drop-downs in the navbar menu using a very simple markup and the drop-down JavaScript plugin. For further reference, check out the previous lessons where we dealt with drop-down menus. The markup is exactly the same. You can fix the navbar to the top or to the bottom of your page by adding the proper classes to the navbar div. So to fix it to the top, we're going to add the class here, the class of navbar fixed top. And this will make the sidebar full width and position it right on the top of your page. So when you scroll your page, we don't have any content here, but when you scroll it, the navbar will remain in the same place. You can also position it at the bottom of your page by adding the class navbar fixed bottom. Something like this. Now, just a quick note, when using the navbar fixed top, you must consider the hidden area underneath the navbar. So you must add at least 40 pixels of padding to the body. Now, here's the issue with the fixed navbar to top. You can see that you have no padding on the left and right, and your content, the content of your navbar, doesn't align with the rest of your content, if you have any. So a solution for this is, instead of using the container class up here, you will use it on the actual content. So it's going to be div class container. Something like that. And now your navbar content will properly align with the grid. And this works just the same for the navbar, the fixed bottom navbar. If for some reason you need a dark navbar, Bootstrap has the navbar inverse class. So we're going to go right here and say navbar inverse. Okay, this will get rid of the gradient and just adds a little darker color. Also colors the links and the text and styles the forms accordingly. Since Bootstrap offers a great responsive grid, it's only natural it offers a responsive navbar. To implement it though, you must first include the Collapse JavaScript plugin and the responsive Bootstrap CSS file. Now the process is really easy. You must first create inside your navbar inner and inside the container. You got to create a div with a class of collapse and nav collapse. Now everything you put in this div will be hidden at 940 pixels or less. So let's do a simple paragraph. This will be hidden. So currently it's showing, yeah, right here. And let's add the class of navbar text just to color it properly. Okay, so if I resize this window, it's now hidden when it reaches a certain point. All right, now to show it, you must create a trigger for it. So I'm going to say A with a class of btn and then btn navbar. Okay, and I'm going to say this. Data toggle will be collapse, and data target will be nav collapse. It's this class right here. All right, so let's do like show content. And as you can see, this is hidden right now, but when I resize, we get this button, show content. Click it, nothing happens. So let's see. Without the href. All right, so click it and the hidden content will now be shown. Just make sure you don't use the href because it will interfere with the data target right here. The navbar was one of the major UI components. We still have a lot to cover in this area, so next up, let's talk about breadcrumbs and pagination.